I see Senator Wexton is coming in. Senator Wexton, we'll have you join us up here. Special seat. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us today. Yes. Senator Kaine walking in the room. All right.
Thank you. Yeah, you are our host.
In the door.
Where from? Sarah, right?
Yes.
Good to see you.
Thank
you so much. Good to meet you. Hey, what?
All right. Yeah. Senator Kaine, thank you so much for being here. Great to see you. Thank you so much. And Congressman Connolly, join us up on stage. Oh. Thank you for joining us, Congressman Connolly. Good to see you. All right, welcome. We're gonna do a little brief introduction once again since we've changed groups. So good afternoon and welcome to the Multicultural Chamber of Commerce Alliance Candidate Forum. The Multicultural Chamber Alliance is made up of the Asian American Chamber of Commerce, and Dr. Cindy Zhao is with us. Cindy, raise your hand, yes. The Virginia Hispanic Chamber, and Michelle Zazier is here with the Virginia Hispanic Chamber. And the Northern Virginia Black Chamber, and Mr. Ed Williams is here. These groups joined forces about 5 years ago and recently renewed their memorandum of understanding and partnership. They're lending their time and resources today to create a platform for candidates running in the November election to speak about their political positions. The event is bipartisan and committed to representing the varying political views that impact voters' choices in the upcoming general election. Let me also thank our host, Virginia International University, and we're so pleased to have the president, Dr. Issa Sarah, join us. Let's have him come on up.
Just, I don't like to spend thank you, welcome all guests, all of you. Just I say something very briefly. We have, as you know, that Dr. Kovac already introduced to all of you, VIU. We have 24 degree we are giving, other than non-degree courses. That mostly computer science, many master program, undergraduate also, many IT programs also, master program, undergraduate. Also we have some education program, TESOL and other linguistic, and also we have some other program coming soon already. 15 degree, health science and other on the way. We are submitting next week to all higher education council of Virginia. But all degree also available online, including ESL program available online. Just let me tell you one thing, I don't like to be politician. I don't like it. Don't you think very difficult job? 24 and 7. I can't believe it. I can't do that. But I like the politician. Yes, I like the politician. Why? Because, let me tell you why. they are telling 10 times, 100 times what they believe it. Can you imagine? How many times they are telling? Consistency, you see, persistence. I am learning a lot from them. That's the case, I like it. Thank you, enjoy your debate, enjoy it.
Thank you so much for being our host today. I want to tell the candidates, Senator Kaine, we're going to start with you, and you'll have 15 minutes. Tana, here in the front row, will give you a sign when you have 1 more minute left. And the congressional candidates will have 10 minutes, and Tanik will also give you your time. So without further ado, let's introduce you to Senator Tim Kaine. Tim grew up working in his father's ironworking shop in Kansas City. His parents taught him the value of hard work and showed him how small businesses work. After graduating from the University of Missouri, he started his public service career at a technical school founded by Jesuit missionaries in Honduras, training teenagers to be carpenters and welders. This is where he said he found his North Star that led to his commitment to advance job opportunities for everyone. His time there reinforced his 3 core values: fe, familia, y trabajo, faith, family, and work. Tim met Ann Holton at Harvard Law School. They married in 1984 in the same church that they attend to this day in Richmond, Virginia. They have 3 adult children. She, of course, was the Virginia Secretary of Education after a career as a judge, and prior to that ran Great Expectations, a program offering tutoring and coaching and support services to young adults aging out of the foster care system. Tim calls her the best public servant he knows. Her father was also a public servant, Linwood Holton, a former Republican governor of Virginia, who helped integrate Virginia's public schools. After law school, Tim practiced law for 17 years in Richmond, representing mostly people who had been denied housing due to their race, disability, or family status. He helped win one of the largest jury verdicts ever in a case involving discrimination against minority neighborhoods, and also began teaching them. He was first elected to office in 1994 to the City Council in Richmond, Virginia, and 4 years later as mayor. He then became Lieutenant Governor of Virginia in 2002 and Governor of Virginia in 2006. He was very proud during his time that Virginia was named the best state to raise a child and the best state for business. Tim was elected to the Senate in 2012 as a can-do optimist, skilled at bringing people together. In the Senate, he's focused on improving the lives of Virginians and a co-chair of the Bipartisan Career and Technical Education Caucus, where he focuses on expanding job training programs. He's also focused on armed services and the military and support of that on the Armed Services Committee. And of course, our state is one of the ones that is most closely connected to the military. And he's also closely connected as the father of a Marine. So his work really is about crafting a smart defense strategy and supporting military families. He's also been a leading voice against presidents starting wars without a vote in Congress. He believes healthcare is a right, not something reserved for those who can afford it. And let's see, he serves on the Senate committees, Armed Services, Budget, Foreign Relations, Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions. And without further ado, let's welcome Senator Tim Kaine.
Thank you so very much. It is a treat to be with you. I want to thank President Siraka and VIU, all the wonderful VIU folks who are here for hosting this. I think I'll try to do my comments in sort of 3 parts. I want to thank people. I want to offer a few reflections about my work in the Senate and then talk about my campaign and hope to earn your support. So first on the thank you side to VIU, to the chambers, to my colleagues Jennifer Wexton and Jerry Connolly. These are 2 longtime friends, and I'm very happy to be on a ticket with them. We are running as a team, and I'm going to stay and hear their speeches as well. It's important to work together, and especially being in the Senate. We can get bills passed in the Senate, but if they don't pass the House too, we have challenges. So that's why the entire Virginia delegation works closely together. I want to thank the chambers. I work very closely with chambers for my day as a Richmond City Councilman. Chambers across Virginia do great work. They represent member businesses. They advocate at a policy level, whether before the Fairfax Board or the Richmond City Council or the federal government or state government, chambers play a very important role. And I'm proud of the work that I've done with chambers over the years, and I'm proud of the support that I've received from chambers in the Virginia business community. Just a few days ago, I was endorsed by the publication Virginia Business. They ran an editorial that said, Tim Kaine is good for business. And the lead paragraph of the editorial was that since they have published, beginning in 1986, they have never done a single endorsement. Not once. And they said, we're not intending to make it a habit either. But in this case, in this Senate race, because of my work as a job-growing, school-building, crime-fighting mayor, because of my track record as a governor, where every year I was governor, Forbes named Virginia the most business-friendly state in the United States, and because of my advocacy at the Senate around important priorities like career and technical education and strategies to grow the economy, Virginia Business saw fit to make their first endorsement ever and endorse my candidacy, and I'm very, very proud of that. I want to do another thanks to, these are not just chambers, these are chambers representing new American communities, minority communities, diverse communities. And that's really important, to have the chambers representing our sizable African American population, our sizable and growing Asian American population, our Latino population together is important, because it is really important that we understand who Virginia is today. Let me tell you about my weekend. Yesterday I did an event in Richmond, a Chinese American conversation, had more than 100 people there. Then I went to the Festival of India in Richmond, had probably over the course of the day a couple thousand people. Today I did a canvas kickoff in the Latino community here. I did a Sudanese American conversation that was packed. I'm here before the Multicultural Chamber, and then I'm going to do an Arab American candidate tonight at Tyson's Corner. And that's who Virginia is. That was just a coincidence. There was no planning to that as we're doing events over the weekend. This is who Virginia is. And I am so proud of our immigrant communities. I learned to appreciate the beauty of immigrant communities from my own family stories, all 8 great-grandparents immigrating, born in Ireland, immigrating to the United States. But I really learned to appreciate the values of diversity in our immigrant communities when I was a missionary in Honduras in 1980 and 81. There's a message from some in this country that immigration is a problem, or that when you talk about immigration, you need to talk about crime. But no, I believe immigration is an opportunity. I believe when Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence and said, King George, you made a big mistake. You're not letting us have an immigration system to bring talented people to the country. That was in the Declaration of Independence. From the very beginning of this country, immigration has been a source of strength for us. When I was born in Virginia, 1 out of every 100 Virginians was an immigrant. Today it's 1 out of every 9. And in that period, we've gone from bottom quarter family income to top quarter. Our diverse communities make us stronger. And whether that's our new Americans, whether it's African Americans who began their part and contribution to Virginia in 1619, we are stronger with diversity, and I never let anyone say we're not without challenging them. Now, let me focus upon my work in the Senate. Catherine did a good job of telling you about me. I have committees that are very connected to what's important to Virginians. Armed Services, we are the most military connected of any of the states. And after Senator McCain died, I think I'm the last senator with a child in the military. So it's about keeping our country safe, but I also have had a particular mission to bring down the unemployment rate among veterans and military spouses. We've achieved, under veterans, we were double the national average, now we're less than the national average. We're just starting on the effort, and we need to make the same progress with military spouses. And it's also about keeping us safe, and so many in Virginia are active duty, Guard, Reserve, DOD civilians, the nurses at Fort Belvoir, or DOD contractors, firms that are offering expertise to the military. Second, I'm on foreign relations. So I deal with the diplomatic relations between the U.S. and countries all over the world. Very, very important. Can't just be strong militarily, got to have strong diplomacy. Third, health, education, labor, pension. Trying to advance healthcare, trying to have an education system from pre-K to post-grad and apprenticeships and career and technical. Just like VIU, you're committed to the mission of enabling individuals to be all they can be, which is good for the individuals and also good for society. And then finally, I'm on the Budget Committee, trying to help us fund the important priorities that we grapple with every day. But what I really do, and I'll say now I'm getting into the third part of my speech, and the important part is the theme of my campaign has really been the theme of my 35 years in Virginia, a Virginia that works for all. It's about Virginia. I don't represent D.C. to Virginia. I represent Virginia to D.C. And pretty much all of my work begins with a conversation where a Virginian says to me, "Hey, Senator, did you know?" And they tell me something I didn't know. They tell me about a problem that I wasn't aware of. Or they tell me about a solution that we should do more of in Washington. And so I bring the problems and challenges of Virginia. "Hey, Senator, did you know that the veterans' unemployment rate is higher than the national average?" When somebody said that to me, I didn't. "Hey, Senator, did you know we only spend 1% of all of our medical research on pediatric conditions?" Well, I didn't know that. But I've written bills to address both of them, and that's what I do in the Senate. So my work is about Virginia. And many of you in this room I know, and I look forward to hopefully continuing to have that opportunity to work to solve Virginia problems and advance Virginia solutions. It's about work, a Virginia that works. I put work right at the center of my campaign. I grew up working in my dad's welding shop. I taught kids to be welders and carpenters in Honduras. I was the managing director of a law firm with employees in Richmond, Paris, and Guangzhou, China. I was a mayor that helped spark a renaissance in my city, and a governor in the worst recession since the 1930s, who nevertheless was able to get Virginia top ranked as a state for its business climate. So it's got to be about work. And that means it's about skills from pre-K to post-grad, career and technical education. It's about immigration reform. Immigration reform is absolutely critical to the workforce. It is absolutely critical that we get this right. It's about fairness and equity, people being treated equally, not being discriminated against in pay or the conditions of work. It's about fair wages, about fair taxes. We had an opportunity to do tax reform, and I think we blew it, and I hope we have an opportunity to come back and really do it. I voted against the tax reform bill last December because it was deep and permanent tax cuts for corporations, tiny temporary expiring tax cuts for individuals. Had the priorities wrong. I offered an amendment that would have made the individual tax cuts permanent and not cut the corporate tax rate so low, cut it to 25, not 20, and you can make all the individual tax cuts permanent and reduce the deficit by $1 trillion. 34 Democrats voted yes, no Republicans would vote yes. I think the right tax code has to be one that doesn't treat corporations better than people, that doesn't treat investors better than workers. As you now know, in Northern Virginia, with this tax bill, for the first time in the history of the tax code, a corporation can fully deduct the state and local taxes that they pay. But a person now no longer can fully deduct. Why would we prefer corporations over people? There should be some equity there, not inequity. So the right strategies about work are everything from skills to a fair tax code, to fairness, to non-discrimination, to fair wages. But the last piece of my campaign is it's got to be a Virginia that works for all. I love the last two words in the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance was written in the 1890s by a minister in New England named Francis Bellamy. He wanted to express in the essence of a pledge the essence of being an American. And he started a social movement, and his social movement was write a pledge, have it said by every child in every classroom every day in every school in the United States, and have it set to a flag on the wall. It took him 15 years to do that. But the genius of the pledge that Francis Bellamy wrote is the last two words. If he had not put those words on, it still would have been an okay pledge. Pledging to a flag representing a nation that was about liberty and justice would have been okay. But he said liberty and justice for all. Not for some, not for a few, not for the guy at the top. It's got to be about for all. We have our kids say it so they'll memorize it. We have them memorize it so they'll internalize it. We have them internalize it so hopefully they will live it. And we have to be committed to the for all value. If it's not working for all, it's not working. If it's not working for all, then we have more work to do. And I think in many ways that's the issue that's on the ballot this November. Not just in Virginia, but everywhere. Are we still committed to those words for all at the end of the Pledge of Allegiance? Or now is it okay if it's for some or for a few? I am committed, 17 years as a civil rights lawyer, 24 years now electing my city, my commonwealth, and my country. I'm committed to those for all values. I think that that's the genius of who we are as a country. Our diversity is our strength. Our diversity is the creativity and flexibility and communication and skills. When we've gone from 1 out of 100 foreign-born to 1 out of 9 in my life and gone from bottom quarter family income to top quarter, it's not been an accident. It's been because we live in a global economy. And you want to connect to the global economy. And a connection isn't just a Dulles Airport or a Port of Virginia. People are a connection. And when people have brought their skills and talents to this country, or grown their skills and talents here, and we take advantage of all of them, of course we're going to be more successful. But when we allow walls to be built between people, when walls are built between people and we stop them from being all they can be, then our success is also shackled and hobbled and limited. So that Virginia that works for all has been the vision of my adult life, working together with my wife Ann. And it's going to continue to be the vision that animates me should I have the honor of being reelected to the United States Senate. And I'm so proud of Virginia because I can look over the course of my 34 years here at a Virginia and see a state that is economically more dynamic, politically more competitive, socially more inclusive, from an education standpoint, much more focused on the value of education. And I want to make sure that we continue that arc and not step back even a half step. I want to keep moving forward and keep moving forward together with you. So thank you for having me today. It's really great to be at this event, and I look forward to hearing from my friends.
Next up, let me introduce you to Senator Jennifer Wexton, who's been serving the people of Northern Virginia for almost 2 decades as a prosecutor, advocate for children, and legislator on the issues and concerns to families. From 2001 to 2005, she served as the Assistant Commonwealth's Attorney for Loudoun County, successfully prosecuting hundreds of trials, including prosecution of criminals who committed domestic violence and sexual offenses. Among them were some high-profile cases, including a murder trial, Commonwealth versus Clara Jane Schwartz. Jennifer went into private practice after her second son was born, but remained committed to public service and did a significant amount of court-appointed guardian ad litem work representing the interests of children who had been abused or neglected, and received a high award in 2007 for her work there. She was also president of the Loudoun County Bar Association. She gained a strong interest in mental health issues as a result of that legal work, and later served as a court-appointed attorney and special justice in mental health commitment hearings, and led to her being appointed to the Loudoun County Community Services Board. In 2010, she was selected to serve as a substitute judge in the district court. Jennifer was elected to the Virginia Senate in 2014, January 2014, in a special election when Mark Herring was elected Attorney General, so the seat that he gave up. She earned 53% of the vote in a 3-way race and was re-elected to a full term in 2015. She's taken her passion for protecting others to the state Senate and supported legislation that makes our children safer, combats the heroin and opioid epidemic, increases access to health care, and prepares our children for jobs of the future, easing traffic congestion and bringing more businesses and jobs to Northern Virginia. She's a native of the Washington area. She graduated with high honors from University of Maryland in College Park and earned her law degree from the College of William and Mary. She and her husband have 2 sons and 2 adopted rescue dogs. They live in Leesburg. Welcome, State Senator Jennifer Wexton. Thank you and good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Wexton and I am the Democratic nominee for Congress in Virginia's 10th Congressional District. And it's still a little bit strange for me to wrap my head around the fact that I'm running for Congress, because the truth is, it was never my life's goal or ambition to run for Congress. It was really never my life's goal to run for office at all. I went to law school because I wanted to use my degree to help people, and I was able to do that through a public service career as a prosecutor in Loudoun County, as an attorney, an advocate for abused and neglected kids, as an attorney in special justice and mental commitment hearings, and then serving on the Community Services Board, trying to ensure that people had access to mental health services in Loudoun County, and even as a judge for a while. But my path to elected service came from paying attention to what was going on down in Richmond. And I went down to Richmond, and I didn't see many people who looked like me. There were very few women, very few younger women, certainly not a lot of women who had school-age children down there. And I was looking at the legislation and the kinds of things that they were trying to pass down there, things like anti-Sharia legislation, things like repealing Virginia's one handgun a month law, one of Virginia's few pieces of gun violence prevention legislation, and things like passing restrictive voter suppression legislation with Virginia's voter ID laws. So when my state senator, Mark Herring, was elected Attorney General, and the local Republican committee was poised to nominate a candidate whose claim to fame was telling an anti-Semitic joke at a political rally, I knew it was time for me to step up and run. So I ran for the state senate, and I won, and I went down to Richmond, and I got to work legislating. And when I did that, and when I legislate, I don't consider issues Republican or Democratic issues. I consider issues, are they going to do the most good for the most people? And are they going to help kids and families? And I'm proud of my legislative record. I'm pretty good at it. During my tenure in the state senate, I've passed over 40 bills. And I've been in the minority. Every single bill that I have passed has had bipartisan support. And I'm proud of my record with legislation to make kids safer in daycares and online. My legislation to help get more life-saving naloxone into the hands of more people and help stem the heroin and opioid crisis. I'm proud of my legislation to get more resources into the hands of victims of domestic violence when they need them most. And I'm proud of my legislation to help make our kids safer in all aspects of their daily life. But now, after the election of Donald Trump, and seeing his attacks on the institutions that are here to keep us safe, attacks on things like a free press, attacks on an independent judiciary, attacks on our intelligence operations, attacks on immigrants, attacks on women, attacks on the rule of law, attacks on basic civility, and congressional members like Barbara Comstock voting with him time and again, enabling him in his agenda, I knew I had to step up and run for Congress. And this is a challenging race. There are a lot of eyes on this race, and this is a difficult journey. But there are some real contrasts here. I know that Congresswoman Comstock has portrayed herself as an independent voice. She votes with Donald Trump 98% of the time. And some of the contrasts are pretty clear on things like health care, where she has voted time and time again to repeal the Affordable Health Care Act and rip health care away from millions of Americans. I am proud to have been part of the solution in Virginia, where we just this year were able to expand Medicaid access to up to 400,000 hardworking Virginians who fell in the coverage gap. In the area of gun violence prevention, I am proud of my record to help get guns out of the hands of domestic abusers here in Virginia. Barbara Comstock, however, has an A rating from the NRA. She is one of the top recipients in campaign contributions from them, and she has carried their water both in the General Assembly and in Congress. And finally, in how we respond to this president. Because when he took office, and one of the first actions that he took was an unconstitutional and discriminatory Muslim ban. Dulles Airport happens to be in my district. And so I went to Dulles Airport and joined the protesters and the attorneys who were there, joined Congressman Connolly, joined all the elected leaders who were there. One leader who was absent, Barbara Comstock, and it's her district too. Because when the Trump administration was pulling and taking infants and toddlers out of their mother's arms at the border and putting them into camps, many of them still have not been reunited with their parents and may never be. Where was Barbara Comstock? And when Donald Trump went to Helsinki and sold American intelligence operations, threw them under the bus, but invited Vladimir Putin back to the White House to visit, where was Barbara Comstock? So our country, I believe, is at a crossroads. We are facing some real challenges. And it's time that we send people to Congress who are going to stand up for the people of this district, who are going to stand up to this president, and are going to do the most good for the most people. And I promise you, I will always do that as your member of Congress. Thank you. Thank you. Next up, let me introduce you to Jerry Connolly. Jerry and his wife, Kathy, have lived in Fairfax County since 1979 in the Mantua area, along with their daughter, Caitlin Rose. He's serving in his 5th term in Congress and previously served for 5 years as the chairman of the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors and 9 years as the Providence District Supervisor. As chairman of the 10-member Board of Supervisors, he balanced a budget of $4.5 billion and managed a county that, based on its size, would make it the nation's 13th largest city, 12th largest school district, 6th largest office market. He also served as chairman of the county's legislative committee and chairman of the Northern Virginia Transportation Commission, the chairman of the Northern Virginia Regional Commission, the chairman of the Washington Council of Governments, Virginia Association of Counties, on and on and on. He received so many awards, it would take me all day to read it. Following his election to Congress in 2008, he joined the New Democrats Caucus, a group of pro-business centrists in Congress advocating for fiscal responsibility. And he was elected chairman of the chairman of the New Democrats and co-chair of the coalition's task force on technology, and also president of his freshman class. He earned a reputation as being fiscally responsible and an independent voice for Northern Virginia, focusing on his expertise in local and state government and transportation and education issues, and of course those issues as advocating for federal workers and federal employees who lived in his district, information technology, and the government contracting process. He successfully steered a number of vital projects to Northern Virginia, including accelerating the Prince William Parkway, work on Rail to Dulles, the Virginia Railway Express, and funding for Metro. And also helped in Fairfax and Prince William, fought to save teacher jobs and protect quality education. Let's see, he received his BA in Literature from Maryknoll College in Glen Ellen, Illinois, a master's in Public Administration from Harvard. He began his 10-year career with the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee and developed a reputation for pragmatism during his time there, working across the aisle to get things done. Prior to Congress, Jerry Connolly spent 20 years in the private sector in the information technology arena as the Vice President for Washington Operations for SRI International and Vice President of Community Relations for SAIC, headquartered in Fairfax. Ladies and gentlemen, Congressman Jerry Connolly.
Catherine didn't say that I introduced her to her husband.
Brought us together.
And there was one time when she was pregnant, we were at an event together, and she said in front of a whole bunch of people, she pointed to her stomach and said, "You're responsible for this." And I quickly had to say, wait. She meant the marriage, not... Anyway, it's great to be with you and great to be